November 29th, 2012 Rules Committee meeting come to order. Chief Burby, do the blessing, please.
Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Siamo nästarna och vi låter landet här och vi ställer skizis. Vi kostarna oss och dagen i ställen i dag häst. Also då to ni då häst and these are like an outstanding. The most gracious Heavenly Father, as we come to you this morning to take care of business of the tribe, be with the leaders and be with the council members and the families, and let's make the decisions that are the betterment of our tribe. Guide and lead us and forgive us where we fall short. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Roll call.
Chuck Hoskin Jr.
Here.
David Walkingstick.
Here.
Bill England.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Joe Bird.
Amen.
Juliet Coates.
Here.
Jody Fishingham.
Here.
Meredith Braley.
Here.
Janelle Fulbright. Here. Don Garvin. Frankie Hargis.
Present.
Tyler Glory Jordan.
Present.
Lee Keener. Dick Legg.
Here.
Curtis Snell.
Here.
David Thornton. Kara Cowan Watts. We do have a quorum.
Okay, now entertain a motion to approve the minutes of October 25th, 2012. Moved by Councilor England, second by Councilor Garvin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda and put the justices above the reports.
All right. We have a motion to, and a second. Councilor, would you, as long as you're amending the agenda, would you consider amending your motion to add the resolution for Congressman-elect Mullen and the legislation by Councilman Lay? Both these are in front of you, Councilor, to amend the Limited Mixed Beverage Sales Act.
Yes.
And those would be new business items.
We also need to add
The substitution on
on the Supreme Court.
All right. I think we just substitute that rather than amend the agenda to do that. All right. All right. And Chief Bird, do you accept that change to the motion? All right. So we're going to move the justices. There will be the next item on our agenda if this passes, and we'll also add the two pieces of legislation: the Congressman-elect Mullen resolution and the Mixed Beverage Act legislation. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right. We'll move straight then to the justices. Are the justices in the hall? Okay.
Courtroom. I always make a habit of this. Shake hands, and I usually hug the girls. Do that. Close enough. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. See you. Good to see you. Chuck Jr. Good to see you.
Keep your seat. Keep good. Be sure. Keep your seat. Don't stand up and ready. Keep your seat. I think this states the case why you need a new play.
This should.
I'll just say hello. Good to see everybody.
Okay, well, the court's here today on your agenda for one purpose, and to introduce myself, I'm Darrell Matlock, currently Chief Justice, Cherokee Nation Supreme Court. We're here, and I'm here to sell you a courthouse. No other reason. We need a courthouse, and to start our program here this morning, or this afternoon, we're going to have Kendall, who's our court clerk, do a little slideshow for you, and kind of give you an idea about the history of the facility that we use now, and we'll go with some testimony thereafter.
We're going to give you a little bit of history
about the courts itself and then the building as well. The Cherokee Nation Capitol building where we are housed was finished in 1867 after the Civil War. It was one of the first buildings to be rebuilt. It originally housed the Senate and the Council, the Executive Department, the Supreme Court, and the Superintendent of Schools. In 1914, after statehood, Cherokee County was deeded the building where they had their state offices for a time. In 1978, after their new building was completed, it was returned to the Cherokee Nation. The interior of the building burnt in 1928, and the present state that it is in now is what that reconstruction is. In 1991, the courts moved back into the courthouse, and general maintenance with new carpets and paint were done at that time to get it ready to be livable. In 2004, new carpets and bench were reinstalled upstairs, and that's where our current courtroom is. The courts themselves, at the time of the Capitol building was completed, there was 9 separate district courthouses in each of the districts operating. In 1898, the Curtis Act ended all tribal court jurisdiction, and it effectively shut down the courts. The Constitution of 1975 recreated the Judicial Appeals Tribunal that's been hearing cases since that time. And in 1990, after the case of Ross versus Neff found that the state didn't have criminal jurisdiction over Indian country, this body, the council, passed laws to establish a criminal code and the district court. In 2003, the 1999 Constitution was adopted. And in 2006, the court ruled that it has been effective since 2003. The district court caseload in its first 16 years grew steadily, not very fast. But since the time of the new Constitution, you can see the increase of civil cases as things have been brought over under the district court's jurisdiction. Last count this morning, we actually had 589 civil cases filed to date. And that's changed since I completed this slide. In a review of the last 6 years, the civil cases alone have seen a 387% increase in filings. As the Cherokee Nation has grown, the number of types of cases have grown and changed along with the economic development. We see a lot more of small claims and garnishments and foreign judgments, as well as bogus checks and different things. We also do guardianship, child support, and paternity and custody, all of which have very high emotional involvement from the parties. There have been no security upgrades since the building was finished in 1867. We have no secure holding area for inmates. They're currently housed in a conference room that have one marshal guarding the door, and then if there's ever any time that that marshal's pulled away, the probation officer actually stops and stands in front of the door to secure that inmate. This is a picture from the July 20th docket. It shows 4 views from inside the courthouse. The top 2 are from the upper level, and the bottom 2 are from the front door and the back door of the courthouse. In this picture alone, there are 59 individuals. Those that aren't included are our court personnel, the ICW staff, marshals, inmates, attorney generals, public defenders, posse representatives, court clients, and attorneys that are there with their clients as well. I would say that it probably captured maybe a third of the people that were in that courthouse that day. The child support docket is what's seen at the bottom back door, and you don't see that because there's actually conference tables to the right that seat anywhere from 30 to 45 additional people that aren't seen. And those cases are the ones that usually get the most heated because it's the party's children that are involved. And that's all I have for today.
Daryl Dowdy lately has come in. Well, you can go back out then. As you see, the volume of the cases has increased substantially. And I predicted this 5 years ago. Nobody would listen to me, or at least there was no action on those predictions. And now they've come true. And what's more important is they're going to become more true every year as we go forward in our history, our future. That courthouse is not, the facility that we're using now is not sufficient to meet the mandates of the Constitution that promises due process. The Cherokee people in the Constitution demands that due process be provided. Well, due process also includes a physical facility where they can get it. And you say, well, you can hold court anywhere. You're right, I could hold a court in a telephone booth and probably get it done, but that's not what the Constitution demands. And so I'm going to let some of these other, I'm going to let the district judges kind of tell you a little bit about how crowded it is in the dockets and how insufficient this court facility is at this time. I just hope that you'll listen with an open ear and realize that this is something that needs to be done. I know Daryl Dowdy and I have been urging this for at least 5 years. And it's, I don't know what else to say other than it needs to be done. And so, matter of fact, I'm going to let Daryl tell you about some of the courthouses that he has seen in North America with other tribes. And he told me the other day that our Eastern Band brothers are starting a brand new courthouse. They've stuck the shovel in the ground for a courthouse. Anyway, Daryl, can you get up here and kind of get a little bit? Uh-oh. This is the first time I've ever seen where he couldn't talk.
Well, I was with the doctor this morning, and I'm not really in very good shape today. How many of you have been down to Mississippi and seen the Choctaw Mississippi facility? I had the opportunity to see that, Joe. Isn't that something? I mean, that's an amazing facility. But it's an actual corrections facility and court and law enforcement and other organizations. What I understand, the Eastern Band got a grant, a brick and mortar grant to build a courthouse down there, and I don't know exactly the source of that, but it feels like maybe we might miss the boat on that. So, and I don't think those funds are available now. So one thing that I would like to see is a better line of communication between our branches and our grant availability, so that we can all plan together our needs as we go into the future and look at the grant money that's available for us. My other courts, I've worked in everything from a tin building to something like the Choctaw building. And there's a lot of logistics involved in the flow of traffic. You've got to protect your juveniles, your children, when they're in court with adults, and certainly with the criminal dockets. And when you have matters that are contentious, you don't want to have the people having to sit or stand and glare at each other in your courthouse. So we run into a lot of those kind of logistical things. And it is certainly true that our current facility is not favorable to handle those kinds of situations. And I've been one of the proponents for several years of getting a new facility. And I know we've had many discussions, and I'm sure you have too, about the funding and when we may be able to do that. We understand that. We would just ask you to keep our courts, give us priority, if you will, when you may do your planning, and give us all the consideration you can for moving forward with a new facility for our courts.
Justice Wilcoxon, do you have anything to add to that?
Just a couple of words. I know that everything today is fantastically expensive, and I know that you have a lot of serious issues that embrace Cherokee Nation. But as we all know, it's not going to get any less expensive if we wait 5 years or 10 years. And I don't know what resources that you have, but the pressing need is coming on us. It is clear from these charts that we are on the map with regard to conducting our own business in courtrooms, in our own courtrooms, and enforcing our own laws. And there's no more visible sign of doing that than a proper courthouse. And we know we all would like to see the Capitol building return to its historical significance of what it really is. It's not really the courthouse. So I know you have a lot of heavy issues and things pulling at you that need to be done, but if you can see a way, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Justice Polkey, do you have anything to add to?
I don't know that I have anything to add. I'll just remind you the first thing that was torn away from us at State was the court system. It's the last thing that we put back, and to reiterate what Justice Wilcoxon said, the way we conduct our court, the way we house it, it shows the world the sort of government that we are. And I also know that you all have lots of competing there's lots to compete for resources, but this is an important one that's going to get worse as we go on, and we need to show the world that our court is a reflection of how sophisticated we are. And so that's all I have to add.
Before I ask the district judge to tell you the story about this courthouse, we have entertained judges from the Soviet Union bloc of countries, almost every one of them, in that facility. We've entertained the criminal appellant judge from Peru. I have talked to Judge Holland, and we also entertained retired Justice Sandra O'Connor in that courtroom. So it is a world. We are a respected judicial system. And we're really not just asking for a courthouse, we're kind of wanting a criminal justice, or not a criminal justice, but a justice center, and which may or may not include the Attorney General's office and anybody else there that acts to serve the courts. And with that said, I want to turn it over to John Chris and tell you a little bit about how his dockets go.
All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you taking the time, Mr. Chairman. I just want to remind you about a year and 3 months ago, with the election difficulties that you had in the courthouse, where there was no air conditioning for a period of time, where there were people stacked up on that second floor so that you would be able to see how that place operates with 2 bathrooms and one works some of the time. I have the child support docket, and the council in its wisdom found that we should also do custody as part of that too. That bleeds right on over into it. These folks don't like each other in the first place. Same way with protective orders. That's why they need protective orders. I have one marshal. He's a good man. I have a probation officer. And we can call more marshals in, and we've had to do that at times to corral them out in the park. Also, you know that we are not handicapped accessible. Both Judge Fight and I go downstairs to hold court if folks are not ambulatory to be able to climb the stairs. We are the largest tribe in the state of Oklahoma, and almost, if we're not the largest in the United States, we're close to it. We should be leaders. And we should show that by virtue of our court system and the people that ask for justice from us. I can, as with Justice Matlock, I can hold court anywhere. I've done it before in city courts. But it's the folks that come to us. If it is not in a situation that conveys respect, you don't get respect. And we are in a position to show that. At least I think. First time we have an incident and somebody gets hurt, then we're going to have that problem. I would appreciate it if you think about it seriously. They show the caseload. One part of that civil is, of course, if people want to garnish a citizen that works for the nation, they have to go through our court. And it's also cheaper. It's about $130 cheaper for the small claims through our court than it is through state court. And then they'd have to domesticate it anyway to garnish. So they come to us. And that's one big rise. The guardianships, in certain instances, ICW it's not anything that they can do for our people. They will tell them, go get a guardianship. And it's all pro se. The greatest majority of them are pro se. They don't have lawyers. We assist them in any way we can. But again, you're in the same situation. Marshals refer them for us to take care of our kids. And that's top of my list. The rest of these people, it's just money. But it's our Indian children, Cherokee children, that are important to all of us. And we need the facilities to be able to take care of them. Thank you for your time. Judge Fight?
Well, I know your all's time is valuable, and I'm not going to go through the things that have gone through. There's one, though, that has been missed, and that is we had two jury trial dockets for a year. And at those dockets, whether they be criminal cases, we have the same security problems with jurors and the criminals who are over, as well as just logistics problems with the jury. It's just not set up to, in particular, the things that the other judges have talked about, but as well as having jury dockets. And we have several trials each docket. It's just a facility that makes me uncomfortable at times because of the security problems and because of the logistics for people back and forth with each other. And I would just ask the same consideration. And I would invite any of you all to come down to see the dockets that we have. I think we have them just about on every Friday. Mine are the first two Fridays. And you're more than welcome to come in and see kind of the chaos and the turmoil that we have in getting people in and out safely. So I appreciate it very much.
Just to make a few closing statements. This situation is dangerous for the people. I've practiced law 42 years. I've had this pulled on me. That's what's going to happen. Thank you.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, Justice Matlock. You all have a judicial conference that's coming up, is that correct?
Yes, the 18th, and we invite everybody there, especially because we're going to have free food.
That's December 18th at the time, 2 o'clock.
And we really would like to see everybody there because we're going to give you our year-end report, and we would like to have everybody there.
So it's at the courthouse?
Yes, it is. It's at the courthouse. And
do you all have plans for the courthouse or cost estimates, or are we starting from scratch?
Over the last 5 years, we've had plans, and then we've had to scrap them because things changed. I think we still have a set of plans that, I'm embarrassed to tell you this, that we spent $100,000 for that never was implemented. I mean, it's...
Was there a cost estimate associated with those plans?
Yes, but that court, we can do with less than that court facility. That was when the council and the courts were kind of looking at a joint building, not in the same building, but two buildings or two segments that connected to each other. And I think that we could take those plans and have them revised to meet what we really need to get done.
One thing that this body has had to do, because I think about at the same time that you got plans, we were given a pretty grand set of plans, which we have scaled down to the most needy, basic things that we need. And we're still also looking for money to try to satisfy a very scaled down basic building that would give us a little more room, because we're sitting on top of each other also. I would ask if that is possible that you give us a scaled down version with some real time figures.
What we're probably going to have to do is put into, or you're going to have to put into our budget, we're going to ask for it, if we can get it put into the budget, is to have someone take a look at those plans, somebody that has a specialty in court houses, because it takes a special architect to do that. The problem is the movement of people, and people that don't like each other. And so we would probably need some money to get that done. And we would absolutely try to get that done for the council.
One of our problems, and I know everybody here is aware of it, is we're waiting for a carryover for anything to be done anywhere right now. I'm not going to tell you what we do have unbudgeted, but it's a very, very small amount. Everything else is budgeted to the penny until we get carryover coming in, which will be sometime in the spring. But even that doesn't allow for new buildings to be built. This would be something that we'll have to do on a long-term, long-range basis. Look at for, we have divided our budgets now where you have your operational budget and you have your capital improvements budget. And we're going to have to see where we can find money, but we need some very reasonable figure of what it would take to build you a basic courthouse. I know we had the same set of plans given to us about 2 years ago. We cannot afford that type of courthouse. And I know that you all realize the plans you've been given are probably not something that we're going to be able to afford, but you know what we need.
Well, as long as
you need to give us a scaled down version of what it will take.
As long as we can get the proper plans that will allow growth for it, we can start out with something. And then if it's designed properly, then it could be added on to, I don't always like that concept, because I've been practicing Tulsa County, and every time they try to add on something, it gets done and it's not done very well. Now, why that is, I don't know, but that's exactly the problem. But we also know that you got financing problems. The priority is the key word here. I think this is a priority. It's something that's been needed to be done for quite some time, and the Cherokee people deserve it.
Well, I appreciate your presentation, and I hope that many of us will be able to join you at your annual conference.
I hope you can, please.
I'm going to put it on my calendar, and actually, I will be coming back into town the day before, so that will work out real good.
Todd, do you have anything because I know that Todd and I have been talking about maybe and actually kind of a justice center that doesn't necessarily mean that the cost is going to be astronomical, but he and I both agree that it would probably be a good thing if the Attorney General's office was in that facility. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole, we can, there's a whole
plethora of reasons why you would want the Attorney General's office and the possibly the Marshal Service and the judicial branch with the courts there in one spot. You know, it number one, it's a symbol of independence of our stations in the government. But one thing, whether we go that route or another route, you know, they echo what has been said. They're practicing court in a museum, and it's not a question of if something happens; it's a question of when something happens. And so we need to make this a priority in our government capital improvements to make this happen. We need it on any number of reasons. And so I would implore you and I will sit down along with the justices and the judges to make a plan and to bring forth, hopefully later in this fiscal year, to get the show down the road. We've been on it for a long time. I appreciate the council's attention to this matter, and anything that my office can do to help promote this program, we're going to do it. And we're going to, obviously it works with, you know, the branch that holds the purse strings is this branch. And you know, we respect that authority, and that's why we're here to ask, and that's why we want to demonstrate the need, and I think they did a good job of demonstrating that need. So with that being said, we will work on this with my office and their branch hand in glove to make this thing work.
And we really do need cooperation from everybody, all three branches. And basically, we always kind of depend upon Justice Dowdy as our contact because he's the resident guy that's right here in California. And again, whoever the council appoints to take the lead on this, please direct them to keep Justice Dowdy involved in the loop. I mean, it's very important because if you build something that's not right, then that's almost as bad as not building it at all.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Justice. I think Councilor Cohen-Watts had a question or a comment.
Thank you so much. So I know that we've kind of been through a portion of this process before, and we stopped for whatever reason. I guess the new direction is to be separate, which I really, as an individual, if I had a vote on it, I would appreciate that, because I think we need to be separate as branches of government.
Well, the court agrees with that. I think that all three branches need to be as separate as possible because the Constitution kind of tells us to do that. And the state of Oklahoma is really interesting because I've been talking to some of the Supreme Court justices down there. They've got them a new facility. They've separated themselves from the political atmosphere, and they really, really like it.
And I think, too, that I respectfully have to disagree with our Attorney General. He's part of the executive branch, so I would ask that he not be officed in the judicial branch. To me, it seems like that would be a problem, but maybe not.
Okay.
You could convince me. But on the money and on the design, I hope that we absolutely provide for safety, and then we use those projections that Dennis did in the PowerPoint. I mean, we shouldn't have to touch that building for at least 20 years, I would assume. I don't know what our natural resources and planning codes would recommend. But we should project for that growth based on what we know from our data that we've already compiled. I don't know what it needs to look like. I don't know what the cost associated with the aesthetics.
Aesthetics, I think that you've got some really good people. One of them on this is a historian. These guys are great. They would be great sources to talk to about the outside of the building. One of our justices has that same pedigree when it comes to the history of the Cherokee Nation. So if you can get these people involved, I mean, I don't even think you're going to have to pay them any other money.
So I guess I don't know what that entails. That's not what my recommendation or request would be. That at minimum, whenever that design that comes forward has to have a far-reaching projection so that we build it once and don't have to come back for a while, we would hope, and those safety measures that you talk about. But to me, your branch of government, the cases you're dealing with, especially around community and child welfare and guardianship cases, I'm not so much worried about as politicians, or some of us maybe, but I think that we absolutely have to have that in place. And so I would just ask that whatever you bring forward have at least those minimum characteristics. And after that, I'll leave that to the historians and architects to.
Well, safety is the key issue. I'm not kidding you when I tell you I've seen things that happen in courthouses that are terrible. I'm going to disagree with you a little bit about Todd's situation, respectively. Basically, almost every court, and I'm sure that John Cripps and the other lawyers that are in here will tell you that district attorneys' offices historically have always been in the courthouse with the courts. And it's a good thing because they're usually involved in an awfully lot of the ongoing cases. So you might take that into the formula whenever you're talking about this facility. But again, we do appreciate you're here, and we hope to see you at our annual meeting. Thank you.
All right. I think, Mr. Chief Justice, I think we had maybe just a few more questions.
Okay.
Actually, Mr. Byrd was up next.
Just going to make a comment. This does need to be on the priority list. I'm a little bit at a loss why some of the council members that are sitting here, how come that was not a priority in the past few years? You said it fell on deaf ears when you first proposed this.
Well, I'm not sure it fell on deaf ears, Joe.
I just quote what somebody said.
I just think that basically it's been on the table for a long time, and not politics, but financial matters are always tough. And we understand it. But we would like to see your enthusiasm to carry forward and get this on a priority list and get it done.
Sure. The funding from the Eastern Band came from the Department of Justice.
That's correct.
And it was in the millions.
That's correct.
10, 15, it's up there. And I was wondering, these current drawings that we might have that we paid $100,000 for somewhere about, are we modeling a model out there somewhere like the Chickasaws or Choctaws or one of these tribes?
That was drawn by an architect that specializes in courthouses. Those may be beautiful structures, but they might not be safe inside when all the people are there. And that's why we went to the architect that we did, was we wanted to be sure and get them right and spend your dollar wisely.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chief Justice, we have just a few more counselors on deck. Councilor Fraser.
Justice Matlock, thank all of you for coming here today, but I truly hope the council, and you reiterate what Mr. Byrd said, considers this as one of our top priorities, because our court system is the backbone of our sovereignty. And with the fragile sovereign nation that we are now, it's very important that we consider this as one of our top priorities.
Thank you, Councilor. Madam Speaker.
Justice Matlock, when you look at your plans, you might take into consideration bringing in Indian child welfare and child support, because they currently rent and they're paying space costs, so that may be a method by which you could show some payback ability that you didn't have before.
And we don't oppose that, actually, because it's something that's Judge Cripps could tell you that basically they're very integral to the court's function in those areas. So that's a good suggestion. We just hope that all of you take this to heart and settle it down. It's very important. The reason that I had Justice O'Connor down here was to introduce her to the sophistication of the legal system that we have in the Cherokee Nation, but we did it in that old courthouse. And whether that detracted from it, I don't know. Hopefully she went back to Washington and talked to the other justices and said, hey, they've got 4 or 5 people out there that have over 100 years in state and federal jurisdictions. so we can kind of better trust that they will give their due process to their people when they should.
And Ms. Chief Justice, I had Councilor Coates on.
Oh, no, I just would lend my support as well to the whole enterprise. I did just want to respond to Councilor Birch because I remember when we were all looking at plans, when I first came on in 2007, and we were moving forward with it, but then we had the financial crisis of the following year, of course, and it's my understanding that that's really what contributed to these plans not going through for both our building and for the courthouse as well. Fortunately, through all the departments of the Cherokee Nation, we had been told for probably the 8 years previous to that to plan for cutbacks of 20%. And what would you do if we had that? And it was very fortunate that we had the foresight to make those kinds of plans because sure enough, it happened. And as a result, as a government, we have weathered it better than most state governments, for instance, have. But we haven't completely weathered it. And so it's my understanding that maybe with things picking up a little bit as they seem to be, I sure hope we can move forward with this because I think it is a very, very important project.
So I have just one last thing, and that is that if we don't get our court system and get it right, you may not have a solid. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chief Justice. Thank you to your colleagues for joining us.
I just wanted to say that
he lied. He did talk.
You would think for the $100,000 planning money we spent that we would have gotten bid-ready plans, but we don't have that. We have conceptual drawings, and we have square footage estimates and cost estimates. So that's where we are. So I didn't want you to misunderstand that we would have actual bid-ready plans. We don't have that. But what we do have to work with, we will look at and try to scale down and get to a reasonable level.
And do consider those other two areas because they could generate some funds to help pay back the money that we'll have to find to try to build the courthouse. Because they both currently rent, and they are a part of the court system. So we may want to bring them into play and use their space cost repayment to assist in making the whole thing work.
And obviously, we need to jointly make that decision up front so that we know what we're looking at in terms of plans and square footage.
Councilman Lake.
Anything else, guys?
Judge Dowdy, before you leave, the courthouse itself, have y'all ever, does anybody remember ever thinking about extending out back behind the original courthouse? The reason I ask is I'm a fan of old buildings, historic buildings, and that has been with us a long time, and I just wanted to just throw that to you if you'd ever considered that.
It's never been discussed. During the process, there was a push to get us out of that building, that it may be so that it could be restored to museum quality. So we were under that push all the way through our process. So it was never discussed that we'd actually use that building, refurbish that building, or extend on that building.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. All right. Thank you, Justice. All right, we'll now move into reports. And if reports could be brief, that would help with our lengthy agenda. Mr. Marshall.
Good afternoon. I don't think all of you have our reports. Just real brief, those of you who have talked last month about the concealed carry class, we've scheduled for January 31st. If you have any questions, please contact me or my office on that. Other than that, are there any questions that you have for me?
Madam Speaker.
On that concealed carry, is it my understanding, Shannon, that you have to have, that this course you're going to give will take us through to the concealed carry, and then the open carry would also be complied with?
Yeah, this is the course. NSU Police Department has actually volunteered to teach the class for you, and Cherokee County Sheriff's Office has volunteered to give us their firearms range. And they're doing that free of charge, just of our cooperation between each agency. That's only one step. The next step is that you have to fill out paperwork to send out Oklahoma City to actually apply for the license. This will be the class that you have to take to be able to apply for that license.
All right, thank you, Marshall. All right. Attorney General Hembry. Oh, I'm sorry, Marshall. I apologize. I apologize to you, Councilman Keener. I had recognized Councilman Keener a moment ago.
Mr. Chair, just that question, Marshall Buell. What's your view on the Big Houses Justice Center?
I've actually sat in on a couple of meetings. I was in one of the planning sessions for the actual plans for the center, as far as security, how to move traffic, how to do that. I think it's a good plan. Do I believe that the Marshal Service ought to be in the courthouse? No. But if it's in the same general area, it kind of leads to the ability of having marshals close at hand if they need it. You know, it's hard to have marshals. You know, we have 34 in 14 counties. It's hard to have a lot of marshals down there. We always have marshals in here doing work and stuff like that, but that's kind of a long drive from here to downtown Tahlequah if something goes awry. So to have the Marshal Service close is always a good thing. And also with the council house, you know, to have it where you're at here is nice for us, especially nice for me. You need us, we're right down the block and we can get here. Same concept for the justices, I believe.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Garvin.
January 31st is usually kind of cold. It's burn
Really cold.
Inside, outside.
It is outside. You need to dress appropriately. Now, this is the date that you all have picked for us. If it is not appropriate, we can reschedule. Okay, it's not January 31st or nothing. How's that? If it is snowing and 6 inches of snow on the ground, we can readjust. If you want to get it done before, let's say, the thaw, and we have bad weather in January, let's say, there's a firearms range in Tulsa called 2A Shooting. It's indoor, it's light, it's very nice, and we do a lot of business with them on contract stuff, so I can probably get that range as well. But where it's standing, January 31st outside. So.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Kamlotz.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you. You and your team were an absolute hit. You made the papers. I sent you a copy of the Rogers County, so thank you.
Okay, well, you're welcome.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Murphy. All right, now, Mr. Attorney General.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I will make sure that I am out of town on January 31st. I will be very brief on my report. I will hit the highlights as to the Freedman suits, update on Freedman suits. We are still awaiting a decision from the D.C. Circuit. It's been briefed, it's oral argument. We are waiting on that. We expect it hopefully within the next 90 to 120 days, although it could happen any day. The Freedman suit in the Northern District, the Freedmen have filed for a motion to stay the D.C. Or the Northern District Court until the D.C. Case is completely resolved. We have filed an objection to that. We want the case to proceed in the Northern District as fast as possible. The United States has responded to the Freedman motion for stay, stating that they oppose the stay but would consent to a 60-day period to wait for the D.C. decision. We are waiting Judge Kern's decision on that. As to the UKB issues, as to the 76-acre trust, it's all been briefed. It is before the IDIA. We found out today we are number 58 in line for a written decision. So that will be a while before we get a written decision on the 76 acres. As to the 2.03 acres, which is the casino property, the United States has answered the petition, and they did so in a very interesting way. It was a very vague answer. Most of the answers to the petition was the documents speak for themselves. They really went through a lot of mental gymnastics not to state a hard position on much of anything. What was interesting also is that they did not object to jurisdiction in the Northern District, which is a good thing. But they also said that jurisdiction may be appropriate somewhere else. But the key of the matter is they did not, come out and affirmatively object to jurisdiction in the Northern District. The United Kituah Band has yet to intervene in the case as a necessary party, but we believe that they will. Also, the United States answer, which was very interesting, is that they did not assert that the UKB was a necessary party, which is, I believe, beneficial to I know it's beneficial to our organization. So, the Freedmen and the UKB issues, I will go ahead and state on codification. The contracts have been signed. The work is being done at West as we speak. As to the South Carolina case, they have filed for writ of certiorari in the United States Supreme Court. We have filed an objection to that, or we will file an objection to that tomorrow. That could probably, after the first of the year, get a decision on that. We are in ongoing negotiations with TAG, Motor Vehicle Tag Compact, and we are beginning to solidify our positions with the Tax Commission as to the Tobacco Compact negotiations that will start in earnest very soon. With that, I conclude my report, and we'll yield to any questions.
Councilor Conwatts.
Thank you. On the UKB case,
yes.
Will carcieri, how will it impact that, depending on which way that goes on the fix?
It could. The United Kituah Band was fairly recognized in 1956. The carcieri case, basically said that land could not be taken, land in trust for any tribe that was not in existence as of 1936, at the beginning of the Indian IRA, the Organization Act. So yeah, it could play a role. There's legislation. There's rumored to be a move for a legislative carcieri fix during the lame duck session. We are monitoring that very closely. We are going to make sure that we stand ready or posed to introduce language that would be to make sure it's not detrimental to our legal position.
Well, I'm concerned then because when I researched our new lobby firm in D.C.,
yeah.
I believe that the 2 or 3 tribes that they have represented actually support the carcieri fix. So I want to make sure
we support a carcieri fix. It's just to make sure that it's not detrimental to our positions. So
I want to make sure that even though that doesn't actually in this case, that it would be of interest to your office.
We believe me. We are very keeping a very close eye on that.
Okay. The other thing is constituents brought it to my attention that there was the Freedmen stuff had been removed from the website. Is there a reason that has been removed from the website for general education?
I have no. I'm not the webmaster.
Okay,
I'm fighting my Freedmen case in the courts, not on the website.
I know, but it wasn't your direction. I just want to clarify, it was not at your direction.
No, it was not.
Okay. The other thing is, I have submitted a couple of things. Oh, let me back up. On the tobacco, so our new Native American liaison, and I didn't get it done copying, talks about the negotiations in the OSU Alumni Magazine.
Okay.
And I think she states like 20 of the 37 tribes have been at the table sort of at those meetings for us. So we're not at those meetings.
They are negotiating on an individual basis on different tribes, and believe you me, we stand ready to negotiate our tobacco compact that will be most beneficial to the Cherokee Nation itself.
Okay. And you're in receipt of my request concerning the potential tribe or a group asserting themselves as a tribe.
Which one?
In the Cherokee Nation, the Natchez Nation votes.
Yes, I got an email on that. I'll be honest with you. I lost that email, and was only reminded of it today. So.
Okay. And then also the email concerning the at-large voter letter that was sent out by the Election Commission and my questions around.
The Election Commission is a standalone body as to the Cherokee Nation Constitution. They have their own independent legal counsel. I will not weigh in on whether they're doing anything right or wrong until someone raises an issue.
So the guidance is to just address that with them directly?
That is correct.
Okay, very good. I just want to make sure I was
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Coates.
You stated just now that we're in renegotiations of the car tags, motor vehicle
Yes, we are.
tags. Okay. I know there's been some discussion of offering those tags to citizens who live outside the jurisdictional boundaries. What is your position on that?
Well,
Or
without,
is that part of the negotiation?
it is part of the negotiation, and without getting too far into the tall grass on that, because the negotiations are ongoing, is that it is my extreme desire, and we are making that one of the top priorities in this new tobacco tag compact, is that we be able to sell to Cherokee Nation citizens outside of our jurisdictional boundaries. So that is part of the negotiation.
How? I don't know. I personally feel that would weaken the assertions that we have a jurisdictional boundary if we are to head in that direction. What would your...
I would disagree with that. I mean, this
is a taxation function, is it not? And I'm not aware of too many governments that are able to tax outside.
Well, right now, the tobacco or the tag compact does not allow us to sell to at-large citizens outside our jurisdiction, and I think that's unfair. I believe that we are a sovereignty that should be able to sell to our citizens, throughout the state. Now, can we do that throughout the state? I don't know, but I intend to exercise, and I believe that would be a strengthening of our sovereignty if we were able to come to that authority. And I would hope that the council would support the ability to sell car tags to citizens throughout the state.
Well, my concern, I guess, would be that, and I represent the at-large people, and I understand the desire, of many people to have a car tag, but even above the interests of the at-large people, I have the interests of this nation, which I hold even higher. And if we're selling outside of our jurisdiction, that means we're selling inside somebody else's jurisdiction. And we've got another tribe right now that is exercising what is essentially a regulatory taxation function within our jurisdiction. And I would disagree with you vehemently that this does not sort of blur the lines of what our jurisdiction is if we are exercising these kinds of governmental functions involving taxation outside of that area.
It's going to be my goal to make sure that Cherokee citizens throughout the state of Oklahoma, if possible, will be able to buy Cherokee Nation car tags. And I would just strongly disagree with you that would be anything of a weakening of our sovereignty. In fact, would catapult our relationship, our sovereignty, especially on a brother-to-brother or state-to-state issue with the state of Oklahoma. And we'll just have to agree to disagree on that.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilman Lay.
Thank you. General, in regards to FOIA, if they're not answered, what are the rules on not answering FOIA?
If a FOIA is not answered, it is deemed to be rejected, and the recourse would be to go to the district court. However, before that step was taken, I would hope that another or a courtesy press would be made, because sometimes they do fall through the cracks, especially now that FOIAs are going directly to department heads, and sometimes they may not get to my office for review. But if there is an issue, and I've done my best to make sure that all FOIAs and GRAs are answered on a timely basis, if there is a problem, please let me know, and I'll address it immediately.
Just email to your office and the department.
Okay.
You want me to do it again?
Please.
You don't want me to run down to the courthouse?
No, I don't want you to do that. I want you to give me another shot at it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Answer to that.
Sure, certainly. Councilman yields to the speaker.
Would you yield to me for just a second? The official keeper of the FOIA request would be Gail Miller. So anything that comes from you all, you give to Gail Miller. If you want her to follow up, I bet that she could make it a practice after some length of time to just start checking on them, because they're supposed to also come back through her and be put in your file. So maybe she could kind of keep up with the number of days that a possibly has elapsed and maybe help you there.
Thank you, Councilman Lay. Councilman Walking Stick next.
Hey, Todd, if we did get taxed outside of jurisdiction, how would that affect the tax monies for school and law enforcement?
That's all part of the negotiations, and I wouldn't want to talk about that at this time, but that's part of the negotiations.
Okay. Another, I've requested that FOIA question to the BIA about the smoke shops.
I believe that's been submitted to, yeah. I will check on that, but I'm quite sure that's been submitted.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Conwatts.
Thank you. To add to my list, I guess, are you going to submit federal FOIAs for us now? Is that what I understand?
He asked for assistance on a federal FOIA, and I gave it to him. If you want one, I'll give it to you.
Okay, very good, because I have several. Okay, so on the water, are we in any negotiations concerning water rights and water quality issues?
There has been a, for lack of a better word, a cooling off period in the ongoing water negotiations. So we have not entered the suit, obviously, although two members of my staff, Susan Work and Sarah Hill, have maintained contact with the parties that are negotiating this, and we are keeping very close tabs on those negotiations.
Okay, and what is the issue with the zinc? I think that it was mentioned in the report. It was Susan Work was working on the zinc issues over in our area.
I would have to defer to Ms. Work or Ms. Hill. Did you know anything about the mineral zinc?
If you want, it will just provide a written report. It doesn't have to be long. It just needs to be more. Okay. To the whole council, I assume they would want it. And then there was no mention of the Baby Veronica case in the report.
That's the South Carolina case.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's all right. So could you make sure that water stays on there even though it's in a cooling off period so we don't forget about it on the record? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Keenan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Todd, a kind of technical question on the FOIAs. You have 15 days to respond. Is that correct?
Yeah, 15 or 16. I can't remember exactly. It's 15.
And then on the GRA, you have 6 days.
6 days, and then you can request an additional 10.
And then on the GRA, if you don't comply within that time, you have to submit a letter saying why.
If you're reading it, I'll take the word for it. I can't.
And then you just stated that on the FOIA, then you will request an appeal.
Yeah, you would go to district court.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. And just briefly with respect to the jurisdictional implications for car tags, I'm not a car tag expert, but there is in this country multi-state car tag apportionment where over-the-road trucks have apportionment and there's agreements to share fees and apply fees. So I don't think it's completely unprecedented that a state would reach into another state's jurisdiction in some form or fashion to capture some fees. So I don't think it's unprecedented. Thank you, Todd. Mr. Horton, Election Commission.
Good afternoon. I believe you have your report in your packet.
Councilor Conwatts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hi, Tim. How are you doing today? So, in your report, you provided some extensive, I don't know if it's like a revision of the rules and regulations that have been provided before or if this is from scratch. Much easier to read, I know that, so thank you. But it was signed in September of this year, I think. But I don't remember, maybe we got notification, but I don't remember like a public comment period and the other things like the Administrative Procedures Act would have asked for, and your attorney indicated that you would still be doing those types of things for public involvement and public notice. And there's some different items in there that I was concerned about. So can you speak to just the history of that document
I'd have to have my attorney do my think about nothing on that.
The rules and regulations that you referred to were in existence previously, and they were amended. That's what we're going for either change. The resolutions that they adopted, I think they approved it on the previous meeting. And I think the discussion we have, that they do intend to establish procedures for village records to be available on other folks on the website, and also procedures for this, set a procedure for adoption of regulations in the future.
Okay, because when
I think these occurred before we ever had that discussion.
well, we're in November. I'm pretty sure if you sign it in September, the discussions about the Administrative Procedures Act and the involvement of the public or even the council and then being able to view it before it's adopted, comment on it before it's adopted, I don't see that happened. And we discussed that before. The Administrative Procedures Act was repealed or amended to exclude the Election Commission on such critical public policy concerning voter rights.
What I'm saying is I think this was done before that.
His signature, I believe, on here is September 2012 for Chairman Morton. September 11th, 2012. So this is after the fact, and we haven't allowed the public to discuss. I'm sure the media appears to be excluded, for example, in this. And I'm sure that the Cherokee Phoenix would have liked to have been involved so they could have addressed some of the issues that happened in 2011 and guaranteed the rights of the free press to have access to the polls in a manner safe for our constituents and voters.
It was on the agenda. It was adopted as a meeting.
And the Administrative Procedures Act, which we discussed, asked that it be put online, public notice be put out, through public notice procedures. For that reason, because I still can't find it.
Those procedures have not been adopted yet by the commission.
Okay, so this signature, this just means, what does it mean on?
Those procedures for having public hearings and process we're discussing has not been yet adopted. That needs to be adopted also. The commission said it will proceed for procedures. That's what they're looking to do.
I thought that's what the Administrative Procedures Act was, so that's why I didn't understand why we were removing. But I'll say that for another time. On your new voter persons, will the voters themselves see any difference with the new vendor? And when they go into the polls, what will be the physical differences or the process differences? What type of boxes will they see?
I hadn't seen the boxes. We just know they're there.
They're working with those vendors on that.
It'll be pretty much the same. I mean, the machines might look a little different, the boxes might look a little different, but it's going to be the same kind of process that voters are already used to. It's not going to be some drastic change which won't upset people or scare people when they go to vote. It's going to be the same process.
So there's still a physical ballot that'll run through the machine that's locked, just like where you had. Okay, so there's no touch screens or anything like that?
No, we looked at a company who did that and that scared us. So no, it's physical paper ballots.
Very good, thank you. So also, I know that we were supposed to have precincts announced in July. And the only reason I even ask about this, because obviously we're in court right now asking for a stay, so you could use existing precincts. But we haven't had any precincts to announce for either 5 districts or 15. But then my brother brought me this at-large letter, and I don't have the new map because it went with his voter registration form. But I'm very concerned about how it's worded, and that there is a difference in the dates of voter registration. So you're asking this group of voters for a February 13th date, and I think it's other voters have until March 29th to make changes. And I think that's problematic. And then, yes.
That letter was written in content
taken from the alternate election law that this council previously passed. Section 21 under Article of the vote under paragraph C, voting by districts over at-large district voters. In fact, I think you all are considering a bill today that has the same language in the state. You're looking at one that you're talking about revising the code now. That particular section provides that, first it provides that at-large voters, if you're registered to vote at large, unless they have elected to remain a voter in a district pursuant to the Constitution. You know, a lot of people elected to remain in their district to vote. That statute goes on to provide that at-large voters who are elected to remain in the district will have the right to choose a new district upon redistricting. When you redistrict, the voters that are in a district have the right to choose a new district. The new district has to be within their own district. In other words, if you have a district that's divided into two districts, which you had in this last redistricting several occasions, you have a voter that was at large vote in that district, that voter has, in this statute, the right to select which of those new districts he wants to be in, as long as a part of that new district he's elected to be in within the old district he was in. And that same statute also provides that the voter has 90 days to make that election for re-registering in that district. And that's why this letter was sent, was to give those at-large voters notice that they had 90 days under this statute to re-register in the new district if they wanted to be in that district. And the statute goes further to say that if they don't make
Chairman,
that
I know we're
election,
short on time, and I've read the law. I've had a number of constituents that have contacted me, including people with PhDs, that cannot understand this letter. So I assume that we would take the law, maybe quote the law, but then rephrase it so that everyone who doesn't do this on a day-to-day basis would understand it. But it still doesn't address, and I've written to you guys. I hope that that was shared with you, because I'm not just popping these questions on you here now. It is problematic to have a differing date from what your election timeline gives. And I understand why you're doing it. I'm not, but in terms of disenfranchisement of our voters, I'm very concerned that we have a course of earlier date on this population than what we require of everyone else. Then the next deal that's problematic, this 5-district map that you sent out, that's not our current districts. Washington County is not with Rogers and Tulsa County. And they're not labeled to where people understand what counties they are. And if I had the other map, it does show, I think, what is the 15 districts we passed, I think. But it is a different map than what we passed, so I have no idea that. This is straight from my brother's packet that he received.
I really, the map that we sent was the 15 district map that we've gotten from Geodata, so I don't know where that map came from unless there was an error in the letter going out, but the map that we sent was the 15 district.
Yeah, so this was a separate sheet. I did save trees and I copied it front to back. But it was a separate sheet, and this is directly from my brother's packet that he received.
Then I'll have to check with our office about that, because the map that we voted on, the map that was with the letter that Mr. Horton signed, was the 15 district map that we got from you guys, from council or from geomapping.
Well, and I would, from memory, which could be flawed, I understand, that is a different map than what was actually passed out of this council. So, because it has more information on it and all sorts of stuff, so I have no idea, given what is it the same or not. Then to go further, one more thing, and I think I addressed this in the letter. So a lot of the confusion from this letter to what they were to pick is for example, Claremore is in has a precinct for is the same precinct for 2 different districts. I think Tahlequah is a precinct for 3 different districts. So they were very confused about what to do and who to go with, and historically, where do they align. And I understand that we also own part of that, but we should have anticipated that, I would have thought, more so in what we did. I have had a number of people come to me very concerned about this letter, so I wanted to bring these to your attention. The wrong map and the different dates for voter registration, and then the map differences between what we passed versus what was mailed out. I'm concerned. So if there's anything that...
Well, I'm concerned too, but I don't know what map you looked at that y'all passed here from the map that we got of the 15 districts. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to see them both laid together to see what the difference is.
And as always, if people have questions about it, they can call our office. They've been calling our office. I know we've been getting a lot of these forms back because there are people out there who do understand what they're supposed to be doing. And if it looks like they haven't done something correctly, I know that Wanda's been calling people and confirming that what they sent back is what they intended to send back to make sure that the forms are done correctly. But we did this because the law says we have to let people know when things are changing.
Okay, so, and then you're going to get a list of precincts, whether it's 5 districts or 15, because we're past our July date. And I understand. I'm just trying to answer constituents.
We have lined up our precincts.
So according to the law,
we haven't confirmed where the precincts are going to be. We know how many we're going to have in each district.
We know which cities they'll be in. We haven't gotten all of the buildings lined up yet.
So I think that's the part, the cities that have to, I think that's the part that has to be published online according to the law and the rules and regulations you guys passed in September.
We'll make sure that that's done.
And the other thing was, people wanted to understand more about what Connie Parnell's contract's about. What is she doing for you guys?
She is helping us with the redistricting. They recently had to go through all this. As we see, it's a very complicated process. She's helping us make sure we do everything we need to be doing. She's helped us find some of the voter registration vendors and the software vendors that we're going with. So she's helping us work with them and make sure we're asking the right questions, because some of us commissioners haven't done this before. We want to make sure that our elections are perfect this time around, and she's helping us with that.
Very good. Thank you so much for taking the time to answer my questions. It's been very helpful. And I'll get back with you on the additional map and such.
I'll check on that too and see if it was an error on our side.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Garvin.
Just one comment. We had a community meeting downstairs Tuesday night. Had a big crowd and lots was going on, but I want to say thank you to both the council people and especially Bill. He was good to come and explain what's going on, and I appreciate it.
I might have showed the wrong map, Don. I don't know. Got me confused now, so I don't.
What was down south was okay. I didn't look up north.
Well, there wasn't. That's what I told them at the meeting. I said, there's no use looking at these other counties up above because we're concerned with our 4, 5, and 6. That was what was there at the meeting, you know. And if we have another meeting someplace else, we'll be glad to come and show people where the division lines are and how it lays.
If you would, Dale, explain a little bit about Mr. McGee, who came to the meeting last night, and tell him about this new mapping system.
Okay. Mr. McGee, as y'all know, is the guy from Muskogee that his house, the map we got, it showed he was out of the district, and then we had other maps that come down and said he's in the district, and about 5 maps. But anyway, what we have, election officials decided to do is we have hired a mapping system other than the geodata here, and it's out of OU. So Mr. Garvin asked me today, would it bother me if they voted on Mr. McGee, and Mr. McGee showed where he lived and everything, but according and from advice from my attorney, he said that we should not make a decision then. We will table it till we get our mapping system, our own mapping system, then we will make the decision from that mapping system. And that's, we shouldn't, I don't think, since we've got our own mapping crew from OU going to do this, then we should wait until they do theirs so the commission can make their judgment to the best of our knowledge. And I'm not against anybody being out of the district. If he's in the district, we want him in the district.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
By the way, we did have a good meeting. We had probably over 600 people at Blue Ribbon Downs, and that's pretty good for 4, 5, and 6. That's a good show. Run out of chili. I didn't even get to eat any chili.
Not any horses, though.
No horses were running.
Mr. Chafin, you have a comment to add, and we have some other
Chairman, I'd
council.
also say that.
Yeah, you got it.
That gentleman came to the meeting. There's also, they also wanted the own deal people decide where the house was. They also decided that they would see what the council law was at that time too. It's still being considered what the council wants to have for a person in that area. And with regard to the confusion on the dates, I understand why there would be, but the statute is what says the registration has to be within 90 days of this notice, which is different from other registrations. And I agree with the counselor that certainly that letter was not very clear, but it was written consistent with the statute, and I think those state PhDs would have a little trouble figuring out what statute says too. We decided the best thing to do was put the language of the statute in it, what that means is what it means.
Thanks, sir. Councilman Lade?
Most of this ground's been plowed. I've gotten calls since I'm in a district that's close to be at large. A lot of those folks know me, and they told me this was confusing to them. That this map was in that letter. And it's, of course, as you know now, wrong. The other map, can you guys provide the entire council with the other map that was sent out? We'd like to see that.
Have you got it?
Does that email it to you, Deputy Speaker? I think I sent you that.
Yeah, I think I've got
I
it.
sent you the right one.
Carol has it, she to the copy.
Oh, if we get the one that was sent out. The other thing, if you guys are going to community meetings, I'm having one in Nowata next Tuesday night at 5:30. We'd love to have you.
Know what?
Yep. Fairgrounds. I think.
Write that down, Terry. Community meeting, know what?
Yes, we have no calendar for the project, as many of us. I think that there's two right there, and then the other one that's from the legislation's coming.
Yeah, this is the map I used the other night. Same one, so that's not confusing that.
Anything further, Councilman Lade? Okay, very good.
One reason we haven't went all the way on our precincts is if we go out and we contacted some and got some set up, but if we get them all set up and everything, then we fall back to this 5, then we just got to call all the other people and say, well, that's what we need to have a precinct here. And we're set up with all of our old precincts in 5. We can always fall back to 5 and have our precincts. But when we go into this one here, and we can't, we didn't send them all out because we haven't got it confirmed, just like, or let's just take David Thornton's District 5. I'm under my thought on this is the precinct should be in the district that you're representing. So we had, with 5 districts, we had it in Salisaw for both of them. Well, I want to move the one for David. I want to move it. And I talked to the Housing Authority's man the other night at the meeting, Blue Ribbon Downs, and he said, there'll be no problem, we'll set it up there. But I've got to go get papers signed, I've got to get everything certified for them to do that. And it's a hell of a process of getting everything done and getting around and getting it done. And we're working on it. We're going to get it done, but we may not get it done exactly when some individual wants it. But we will get it done.
Thank you. Councilor Coates?
Thank you. I suspect this is going to prove to be a rather harebrained rumor, but I promised I would pursue it nevertheless. I wonder if you all could walk me through the actual process of voting. The concern that a constituent has had is that with the new registration cards, the new cards that we're getting, citizenship cards, right? They have a barcode on them. And the concern that's been expressed to me is that somebody at the site where you go to vote, that you will show this as your ID, right, to identify yourself, but that somehow it will be run at that moment through the barcode, and the barcode can be aligned with the number on the ballot that you are given, so that people
got any sort of technology like that.
Right, are going to absolutely be able to tell how you voted.
No. No.
It sounded rather far-fetched to me, but this person was quite concerned about it, so I did want to
be sure any voters out there that won't be
running their ballot. Be running that
I haven't heard anything about
the
card being run through a machine.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
In fact, you're not even required to show your photo blue card when you vote.
Okay.
So that's
all right. I've done my duty. Thank you.
Okay. With some other councilors, Madam Speaker.
As I understand this letter and the calls that I've gotten on it, if you want to stay at your same precinct, you don't have to do anything.
That's right.
Okay. And that's what my understanding was from the start. In fact, somebody had sent me this letter, and I said, well, I understand the letter that if you are at a precinct you're happy with, you don't even have to send this back in.
That's correct. Okay.
You'll be at the same position as you were.
Well, it was pretty clear. I mean, I don't have a PhD today. I do have a doctorate.
I don't have a PhD.
It's not what you were talking about.
Dr. Neil Martin's back here. He's got a PhD.
Yeah.
He taught me when I was going for my superintendent certificate, so he'll straighten me out here in a little bit. Is there any other thing?
Madam Speaker, anything else? Councilor Fulbright.
Yes, thank you. I just want to thank you, Bill, for coming down to our meeting. You did an outstanding job. We had a great crowd of people there, but you made it pretty clear, and you did a good job. And Lindsay was with you, and Carolyn. And I appreciate all of you coming down.
I want to tell all the council this. I just went over to Geodata a while ago. And 2 weeks ago?
I'm not sure. It's been a couple weeks.
No, it was 2 weeks ago, I guess I went over there and I told them, I said, I want some maps made of each individual district.
So we can take our show on the road.
And so a while ago, I went over there and they gave me 15 and they're about 4x4. So I'm going to try to make it as plain as I can when I go to somebody's district that I've got the outline of the layout of it, So we've got them. So the last one we went to, I had to take this. I had to go to Kinko's and get it on an overlay. And I called 15 schools trying to get an old overhead projector, and they're obsolete now, computers took them out. But I finally found one. My daughter drug one up from down at Roland. She called me and said, Dad, come get it. But anyway, it worked out pretty well, don't you think, Mr. Gardner? David, do you think it's pretty clear with the overlay of this map?
Yes.
I showed them the breakdown of the districts.
Can I answer you?
We'll let you jump in line, Councilor Thornton.
I'll jump in here just a minute. But yes, I did. And of course, I'm not good now. I want to express what you did there because you really did a good job. And people appreciate it. And you and your crew. So thank you, Bill.
Mr. Lay, we come to your district. You want us to bring a breakdown of it?
Yes, sir. Please do. Thank you.
All right.
Good. Councilman Anglin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman, I think we should have some confusion in the Collinsville area with that precinct there. People choose to stay in the precinct, in the Collinsville precinct. That's the only voting precinct in that area. Many people live in District 14, and they could be living even in District 12.
In cities like that, we'll have 2 separate places for people to go vote. That's because there are going to be places where it overlaps. The city will be cut into 2 or 3 places. We'll make sure the voters know exactly where they will need to go vote.
So there's not going to be any accident in somebody from District 12 or District 14 voting in Collinsville that they shouldn't be voting, right?
We'll have our list and we'll
Because
tell
that's
if
gonna be
you're-
very close, because you're talking about one
if-
precinct is right on the line on Highway 20.
Right, we'll make sure they're voting in the right place. That's part of our job. And part of our job is to make sure people know where they're supposed to go vote, and we will do our dead level best to make sure people know. And if they show up at the wrong place, we'll
Yeah,
send them to the right place.
we're going to get the right word out to them. We don't know if they're going to drive right to the right spot.
Mr. Chairman.
They may go to another precinct because they said, I've been voting here for so many times, you know. And then they may be having to go to another one.
So it's gonna be mass confusion.
It will be very confusing.
I mean,
It will
because
be,
we're
but
talking about 3 council representatives in one town.
it will be very confusing. That's not all our baby. You know, we didn't make the map, so we're having to do our best with.
Thank you for admitting that.
So we're doing our best here, and we'll make sure people are voting in the right place and have the correct ballot and all of that.
Anything?
Good luck.
Thank you, Councilman Engel. I'm going to go back to Councilman Thornton because he had a question in addition to his comment a while ago.
Bill, have you made any decisions on the west end of this District 5 about where you would put a precinct in there?
On the west end of District 5,
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to go get my list and see where we've got
We can get
precincts
that
picked out.
list to you guys when I get back to the office. I'll make sure it gets back to the whole council.
Some of the people like where the falls and drains, maybe
See, I went and talked to them up at Paradise Hill. We're going to put a precinct in Paradise Hill right almost behind Finn and Feather. There's the fire station.
Yeah.
So, and I've already got that approved through the fire district. It'll be fine. And that's where they vote all the time anyway.
Okay.
So there'll be one there at Paradise Hill.
Where the falls in that district down in here. We'd have to go where it was.
We'll have one at Gore, one at Buy-In, and one at Paradise Hill, I believe is what we've got picked out.
Okay. That's good. Thank you, sir.
You betcha.
Okay, Councilman Cowwatts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Exhibit A is the map that was passed from council. And then I passed out the one that I made a copy from a form I had been handed to me. The way that the coloring is done with the cities, I guess, the townships, creates confusion, especially around those ones that are already problematic because of the way the letter was structured. That in the default, that in response to not responding, you'll pick their precinct for them. Well, the precinct like Collinsville like is divided up into maybe like 3 different districts, Claremore 2, Tahlequah 3. So who picks which district they go into if that's their?
Yeah, that will be us. We'll have to split them, I guess, based on.
On our voter registration form, we put this map here on the back. And they fill out their voter registration form, and they go over on the back, and they find out, they see where they live. We ask them to put a dot or an X or something right where they live, as close as they can. And then the girls, when they take their voter registration, they look at it and they say, well, they say they're in a certain district. They turn it over and look and see if they live in that district. I mean, if you lived in, you're not going to be able to, if you live in some part in Tulsa there, we'll just put your X in Tulsa so that we'll know you live in Tulsa. I mean, we know it's going to have the streets and the addresses and all that on it.
When I look at District 1 and District 4 on the 15 district map that went out with the at-large voter letter, it's very difficult for me to differentiate between those 2 browns if those are 2 different districts, for example. Then when I get to District 12, 13, 14, and 15 where they can join together, because of the way it's been mapped around the cities and other stuff, it appears to be the same as what was passed out of council, but I don't know that a voter who hasn't been through this day-to-day with us would understand at all what they're looking at and can differentiate what is actually the precinct there. For example, 13, it's very difficult.
We'll do what we can to figure out exactly what the confusions are and to clear them up.
When I first looked at it,
Working
it was
with the maps
difficult
that
too.
we have, so.
But you can see your division line. I mean, I guess I've looked at it so many times. I can see the division line. But I don't know how else we do it.
we've done it the best way we can, and we'll work with people through their confusion. That's my best answer for you.
What about the deadline? That it's February 13th rather than March 29th?
The deadline is prescribed by the law. That's to change their, if that doesn't cut off voter registration, if they want to register to vote, people can still do that. We have a lot of work that we have to do, and we need to get people changed if they're going to change. So we have 90 days to do it, and we'd rather get it done as quickly as possible.
And another thing, here we are, we're sitting here kind of handcuffed, but we don't know what the decision's going to come from the court or what, And we get everybody hipped up on this, that we're going to be here. Then we go back to the 5, and they're going to say, "Oh my God, now what?" And it's not our fault, I mean, we're doing our dead level best, and we're going to continue to do our best, and I don't know what else we can do.
My voters asked me to raise the issues, and I have, so thank you very much.
And you've confused me now.
Just wait till
Yeah, wait till the court says.
Councilor Fishing Hunt.
I was just going to say, the thing I found confusing on it is where you all took these incorporated. I don't know who done that, where it turned yellow. It looks like there's a whole new district right here below 13.
Yeah.
I know none of the maps I have ever seen has been incorporated in a different color. And the other thing is, it might help, and it's just a suggestion. In Adair County, like if you was to mail down Adair, if you would have left the rest of this off and just made a whole sheet of Adair only, you could have got more detail in there.
That's a good
You know what I'm
idea.
saying?
Yeah, we had to find
Yeah,
it.
if you had all the Rogers,
Yeah.
just put Rogers in that area.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you for that suggestion.
Like I say, I've got them in 4x4s out there. We can just make a big post and send them. In fact, I'm gonna go out the truck and we'll bring one in after a while and let y'all kind of hear it.
Councilor England.
Thank you, Mr. And just, Jody hit the nail on the head right there, because this is the first time I've seen this map, but I've probably had 50 phone calls, and I said, well, I don't understand what she's talking about. And they said, well, they've taken part of the Tulsa area out of the district and covered it a different color. And so I didn't know what this even talking about, but now I see it's the incorporated area. But if they just went all the incorporated areas off, that would have definitely helped, especially over here in this heavily populated area, I also call it this stuff. Totally got that color totally got it.
What are you
And I
talking about?
understand what the confusion
All
is.
this incorporated area here. Yeah, all of this look here, you got incorporated, and OWASP, I looked at that, and you got all of those policies. Well, this is the real color for this district. So they're thinking this is a whole district, and they think it comes over here, to this area. This area comes out of
Right.
Right. This whole area should have been just this color only. That color only. Should have been this whole area. They left all that incorporated stuff.
Yeah,
Now
I
I see
understand
what
what you're
everybody's
saying. I
talking
understand what
about.
you're saying. We got these.
We'll have to blame that on geodata.
Yeah, and I have not been able to explain that to anybody. I don't even know what you're talking about. Well, it's called chaos.
Yeah, it was a good rate report.
There's a backup and applications coming in because hold off until we get an answer for it.
Anything else, Councilor England? Anything else, Councilor England?
Oh, no, thank you.
Councilor Cowan Watts?
Oh, just
You're up at bat
for
again.
solutions, if we could put those maps on the website, so at least we could download them or print them as needed, or we can refer them to the website with the individual closer detail and cleaned up map without the incorporation.
We'll work with geodata to get that done.
And then whoever turning the heat up needs to stop.
That's not us.
All right, so on a side note, I don't know what's happening back there, but we'll have to remove people, I guess. So the other thing is, will you post the rules and regulations, this letter,
Yeah, and it
and all
should
these?
be. I thought our rules and regulations were already up. I'll make sure they get up, and then all the other stuff.
I noticed the FOIA form was up. Thank you, much appreciated. If we can get all this other stuff and meeting minutes as well.
We'll get that up.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor. All right. Thank you, Election Commission, for the extended report.
I'm confused.
Madam Speaker, before we move on to the next report, do you have a motion?
Yes, I would like to move the number 5 and old business to the very end of the agenda because it's going to take some time to work on it.
Certainly. All right,
And put that in form of a motion.
motions. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Very good. So it'll move down to the bottom. We're now continue on reports. Tax Commission. What I would ask is if your report speaks to yourself, if anyone has questions of Ms. Webston's come forward and we'll get straight to the questions if your report speaks for itself. Any questions for the Election Commission? Councilor Conwatts.
Oh, you're talking about Tax Commission now,
Yes.
right? Okay. Thank you for making Collinsville safer. I finally got over the visit. That was really nice on the tag agency. Are you prepared to discuss liquor today on the smoke shops? And
I think so.
so you're going to stay around for that?
Yeah, I will. I have Sarah here with me also.
Yeah, April's
Let's
office.
go
What
ahead.
about the marshal at all?
Table it. Councilor Thornton just told me he was going to move to table his discussion for another month. So when we get there, we'll table it, and so I'd say you'd be free to go after the questions. Anything further, Councilor Conwatts?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All right, Councilor Keener.
Thank you, Cherokee. I think maybe stick around. There's another.
So I have other things on there.
Okay,
Anyway.
that's what I was going to ask if you could
No,
stick around.
I'll be here.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. All right. That's all, Ms. Webston.
For the self-governance, Ms. Candy asked that I let you all know that she has been out. I don't know how many of you know that her daughter Madison was in a really bad car accident and she's been out on FMLA. She has returned. I don't think Charles came in yet, but Charles had said that if there are any questions on Vicky's report that he would be here. He was on a conference call. He was sorry that he was running behind time, but if you have questions, he will be here a little later and he will try to address those.
We will email or phone those questions in. Thank you. All right. Mr. Hummingbird, I trust your report speaks for itself, but you'll entertain questions, right? Come forward. Does anyone have questions for Mr. Hummingbird?
Fort Gibson's set to open next Tuesday.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Yeah, we heard that before.
That's my story.
Very good.
For right now.
Thank you, Mr. Hummingbird. Any questions for Mr. Justice, Registrar of Citizenship Data Update? Councilor Conwatts.
Thank you.
Probably
What
nice
efforts are being made to update citizens' addresses?
You mean in general?
Yeah, if we set a policy, if we make a commitment, is there a strategy? What are we doing? Other
Did you
than
not
the
get
voter ID.
Did you not get the policies and
I got the
procedures that they got?
SOP, which talks about in general if somebody moves and bothers to update us, what that process involves and what that is. And I appreciate that. Thank you. But are we doing a campaign to fix addresses of citizens in our new cards?
As to the best of my knowledge, now I'm not part of registration, so I'm maybe misspeaking here, but the last I heard that they were running advertisements in local newspapers, like in the Cherokee Phoenix also, trying to get people to voluntarily come in to update their address to make sure that they had the most current information in the registration database. More than that, I don't know. Would have to check with them.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further questions for Mr. Justice? Madam Speaker.
I understand as they go around the country and around the 14 counties and they're issuing the new photo ID cards,
Yes.
that at the same time they're correcting their information. So that appears to be a success in that we're getting a lot of people interested in these cards. So we're getting a lot of new information on a daily basis
Yes.
because of the fact we're offering the cards.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Keener.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dave, could you provided the agenda commission with those call larger maps. Could you provide the council with those as well? How to form?
Yeah.
Electronic?
Yeah, electronic would be great.
I didn't expect
Okay,
you to
good.
print them out, yeah.
I thought you wanted the same size that they just picked up. So yes, I'll be happy to get those to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor. Madam Speaker.
I do want the same size for Cherokee County.
Laminated and everything?
Yeah, if you could provide 3 of them, one to each one of us.
Do you want all 15?
No, I'm just interested in our area.
Okay. If anybody's interested in your area, please let me know.
And
And
if you would,
I'll.
if you would put Robert Street.
Rephrase that question.
You guys still have 4?
I think Councilor Baker wants a laminated globe for his. Yes, Madam Speaker.
On ours, if you would, it would be very helpful in Tahlequah if you break it down by the streets.
Sure, we'll add the streets.
They're along Muskogee and then going out on 82 and going out towards the complex if you break it down. And then I think it's Mud Valley and Stick Ross. If you would delineate there, that would be very helpful to us. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Councilor Keenan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. But go ahead and send them electronically too. Sorry, Dave.
You can do that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The whole set.
Madam Speaker.
We don't need a lot of the other roads, but the
Just the
main
main,
breaking
yeah.
areas. Okay, thank you. Is that good?
Good job.
Thank you,
We
David.
work good together.
All right, we'll now move on to our first item of old business, drug testing for elected officials. Councilman Thornton. We have a motion for table. We have a second. Motion by Councilman Byrd, second by Councilor Thornton. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Table for the moment. Very good. Next, we move to item number 2 of old business. Councilor Garvin, the Residency Act.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've talked about this a few times, and what it is, we have an individual sitting kind of on the line, but most of his residence is inside the Cherokee Nation. And maybe his closet, part of his closet is in Creek Nation, and his mailbox is in Creek Nation. But his residence is in Cherokee Nation. So what I'd like to do is have you to vote to allow him to vote in District 3. He's not trying to run for deputy chief or counselor or get a house. He's not trying to do any of that. All he wants to do is be able to vote in District 3. So I'll make a motion to approve this.
Second.
Make the election commission do what they want to do.
We have a motion to approve by Councilor Garvin. We have a second by Councilor Con Watts. Any discussion? Councilor Baker.
I believe 2 months ago, I had offered a friendly amendment that if any part of their house was within the Cherokee Nation, that they had the one-time election. Everyone residing there had the one-time election of deciding whether to vote, which district to vote in, or even outside the nation. And that was approved at that time, but that is not reflected in this act that's in our bill. So I ask that as a friendly amendment again.
If any part of the house is inside,
It is either a split district, it could be between districts, say 4 and 5, or between districts, 4 and 5, or between the at-large or a district within the nation.
I think that's creating another problem now.
Okay. Although, point of order, it was approved 2 months ago.
Well, I think we decided to.
Then point of order, then this is not the correct act.
Councilor Baker, your recollection is we approved with a friendly amendment that you made at last Rules Committee meeting?
No, 2 months ago.
And it did not go to full council?
No. But it was approved to change the act.
Where's that to, Brian?
I'm trying to remember that discussion. I know that Councilman Garvin and I have been working on this for several months now, and but I know that there was a discussion about the at-large, I just don't remember. But
Well, what it was that if the House was in two different districts, be it at-large or two different districts in the nation, that they had the one-time choice of deciding which district they would vote in.
I think I did do a version of that at some point, but
that's not the version that's in the book.
Councilman, and you and Shelley both have kind of refreshed my memory on that. So the friendly amendment was accepted. The legislation as amended through the friendly amendment was then tabled. Is that correct? And so here we are considering again, I suppose the only way to extract your friendly amendment would be through a motion. If we had the language to look at, it might make it simpler. And I think, Councilman Garvin, that Councilman Baker's friendly amendment would still get your constituent where he wants to be.
just adds the option for the at-large, the one-time option.
Right.
Then, if we can have that version at full council.
If he'll reconsider your friendly, and we can have that ready for full council.
I'm not sure that there should be a friendly.
You're correct, but out of courtesy to the councilman, let's get on the same page. Councilor, it does appear that there was a friendly amendment to that effect.
Okay, so the proceed is, it is there.
Yes.
Okay.
Hold on one second. What's that?
Yes, I agree.
All right, so the legislation that's before us is incomplete, but we have clear minds that the friendly amendment would have, and could you restate it, how the legislation would have read?
I think I have a version of it.
Right.
I don't know what happened.
Which I have seen, yes.
Yes.
Which is that if any part of the House
Yeah, you can do it for me.
is in two different
You
districts,
can, just hold it.
then they have the one-time election of deciding.
Okay. So that's the legislation before us. It'll be clarified at full council if we pass it today. But Councilor Walker-Stick has a point of order.
I was reading minutes from last meeting, and it said Councilor Garver announced a revised version has been provided, but time is still needed. He moved the table. Councilor Thornton seconded the motion carried. So it looks like it was tabled from last
I think it was the time before that.
But it was the time before.
All right. And so the reason the tabling has brought us here today, but what was tabled is not in fact what was in our book, and what should be in our book is in fact the version as friendly amended by Councilman Baker. So if we pass this today, we can move it on to full council. Given that it's up against the election, we may want to do that today. And let's get the version out as soon as possible to councilors so that we can work on it offline if we need to before full council. That's my suggestion to the body. We have a motion to approve. We have a second. Any further discussion on the legislation? Okay, here.
We'll ask Shelley to put it on the council agenda, the monthly council agenda. I will circulate it to Councilor Baker first, make sure they have the right language, and then I'll send it to the full council.
And Councilor Garvin as well.
Yes.
All right, very good. All right, any further discussion?
I'm sure I already have a version.
Madam Speaker.
I just want to make sure what Mr. Garvin has put forward is what is in the book. That's what we're voting on?
We are not voting on what's in the book. We're voting on a revised version that should have been in the book.
It will be what's in the book except for one phrase about the at-large option, one-time at-large option.
I can see the exact wording before I vote.
It'll be sent out.
Then let's table this to the. We could. We do want to get this done, I think, for Councilman Garvin and his constituent.
I will look and see if I have it on my flash drive that I brought with me. If I do, I'll see if Gail can print it out and put it out.
Look at our. Madam Speaker, if you'd table this to to right after the Supreme Court Justice nomination, that might give us time.
Okay. I would make that motion that we table it till after number 1 of new business.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right. Councilor Garvin, it remains on our agenda. We just moved it down a bit. All right. Well, that brings us then to the Supreme Court resolution. Madam Speaker, you have a substitution for we've moved elections to the
Point of
end.
order?
I apologize. No, I apologize. Yeah. I'm being wishful in my thinking here. We are actually on old business number 3. Councilman Lay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before that, I want to do some major revisions on this. I'm going to withdraw this at this time.
Withdrawn. Okay. Very good. It is withdrawn. Next item, Councilor Thornton, you indicated you were going to table this.
Yeah, we'll table it till next week.
Motion to table the discussion on liquor sales. Do we have a second on that motion? Second by Councilman Walker-Stick. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right. Now, we're at new business item number 1. Madam Speaker, you have a substitution for us. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe everyone should have received a substitution on a resolution confirming the nomination of Angie Jones as a Justice of the Cherokee Nation Supreme Court. Ms. Jones is here for comments and questions, and I would put that in the form of a motion.
Second by Councilman Fishing Hawk. Ms. Jones, please come forward. And yes.
Can I just please say that I'm proud to introduce you to my daughter, Angela Jones. Usually I say she's my oldest daughter, but that makes her mad to me. I just say she's my daughter.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you for accepting the Chief's request that you be appointed to the Supreme Court. Madam Speaker, do you have any further comments introducing the nominee?
Well, I would just like to say I've watched this young lady kind of grow in the legal field. I think she's been here in town. Well, she's been here in town all her life, but I know she's been practicing somewhere along about 17 years. I got a chance to watch her the other day. I just happened to be in the courthouse and was waiting for a signature, and she was holding her own very well with on paper. I marvel at any female attorney that has taken on the task of being a litigation attorney. And Angela I consider to be a very good litigation attorney. And I'm hopeful that all of you all will see through her experience and background that she will be a good addition to the Supreme Court.
Thank you very much.
And she certainly has my support. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Any questions or comments concerning the nominee? Councilor Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Jones, for being here. I'm excited about a female being back on the Supreme Court. Of course, I'm always sad because Justice Matlock has served the tribe for so long. That's not speaking to your credentials or.
Oh, I understand.
So, I have some concerns about potential conflicts of interest. So this is that time to air those things during these hearings. Are you somehow employed or contracted with the HWH group?
I don't know what HWH group is.
I don't know. I'm responding to when this came out, people started asking questions. So I'm doing my due diligence. Okay, and then do you have any business ties currently with the Cherokee Nation?
As far as myself personally?
Yes. So can you explain any roles that you have, or your husband, or?
Well, obviously, I mean, I'm on the Employee Appeals Board at this point in time. I was appointed by the council last January of 2012, I believe. My husband is the dental director for the Cherokee Nation Dental Services.
And do you have any other family relationships in the tribe?
Obviously, my mother is the attorney for the council. My grandmother, I believe, was recently appointed. I think for the registration, something to do with the registration department is my understanding.
Okay. And also, you on your resume, do you have ongoing relationship with the United Kituah Band?
My relationship with the United Kituah Band, I do not work, I guess, directly for the United Kituah Band government or the chief. My work with the United Ketua Band is extremely limited. I have not taken on any new work for the United Ketua Band since my appointment to the Employee Appeals Board. However, I am currently, and I tried to look at the cases that I currently have. I am a guardian ad litem, I believe, in one case that actually is out of Sequoyah County. But I believe that the payment for the guardian ad litem services is being paid through the United Ketua Band. I have, I think, maybe one or two other cases where I have been court appointed to represent an indigent parent who was unable to afford an attorney. Those cases are kind of under review status, and that's my limited involvement, and that's all been my only involvement ever with the United Ketua Band.
Okay, so I want to make sure, because your resumes are different than technical resumes I might be looking at. So your current employment, do you have a single out other than the EAD?
Yeah, yes, I have a private practice located here in Tahlequah.
Okay. Now, so you obviously have the potential then for conflicts of interest to arise as a Supreme Court justice. So how would you handle those?
Well, first, I don't currently, and because I am on the Employee Appeals Board, my reading was I don't currently represent any person or party that has a case pending with the Cherokee Nation District Court at all. There are conflicts of interest or disqualification within the Supreme Court rules that sets out the procedure and how any type of potential conflicts of interest are to be handled, and I would follow those rules and procedures accordingly.
So not to pick on the incredible women in your family, but I have to. So for your grandmother and her role, because I understand that the registration committee has taken on a more active role with the registrar in day-to-day responsibilities. So there are times when registration has been sued and taken to the Supreme Court. Under those rules, would you recuse yourself from that case, or?
What I would say at this point is that, I could not speak to a hypothetical situation without knowing the exact facts and circumstances. I would certainly, if there was a case where one of the parties or I felt like I had a conflict, I would go to those rules that are set out for the Supreme Court and apply those disqualification or conflict of interest rules and abide by those rules, depending on the set of facts and circumstances as they would exist.
And we're thankful to have your mom as our attorney, but that also presents itself then in any court cases involving the tribal council, because she's also our representation, whether she goes into court or not. She's still representative of us. Would you recuse yourself from any cases involving the tribal council?
I don't want to say at this point in time that I would. I'm not going to commit that I would recuse or not recuse. My mother and I have been on opposite sides, opposite parties. She was a prosecutor. I was a public defender. I had the public defender contract in Cherokee and in Adair counties for approximately the whole entire time while she was the district attorney. We did at that point in time address any type of conflictual issues. We stood in court against each other on opposite sides many a times. So it would depend on the facts and circumstances of a particular case. I would say just because she is the attorney for the council, that in itself does not automatically mean that I would have to disqualify myself.
And I'm going to have to go back and read those policies that the court has in place. I'm sure that being on both sides made for interesting Thanksgivings. But I would think that the court position as a judge, that puts you in a different light, and that's a final decision-making body for us as a government.
Yes.
So you as the decision maker then would have a conflict of interest, but in a court, if you're against each other, that's just a choice for your clients, and you have to disclose to your clients. But the Cherokee people only have this opportunity.
Yes. Yes, I understand.
So I would think as a decision maker that if she was involved in it, you would have to recuse yourself too. that's where I would struggle with. So I guess I'll have to refresh. I support, I want to see another woman on our Supreme Court, but I am struggling with this, so I'm going to need clarification before.
I mean, I understand your concern. What I can tell you is that I took an oath, number one, as an attorney, not only in the state of Oklahoma, but when I came on for the Cherokee Nation has an oath for attorneys also. And assuming that this body does approve the chief's nomination, I would be taking an oath, a much higher oath as a judge to defend the Constitution of the Cherokee Nation, to defend the laws and to follow those. Anyone who knows me, anyone who knows my mother, knows that it doesn't matter who someone is, related to. I mean, I would stand by and follow the law in the Constitution. I have practice with lots of people that I have, personal relationships with, and those of you on the council who are attorneys know that, you go into the courtroom and you are one way and you walk out, and what happens in the courtroom is what happens there. You walk out and those relationships are completely separate. But to answer your question, I mean, I can't say yes or no. I would have to see what the particular case was, what the set of circumstances would be, and go through the Supreme Court rule that sets out the disqualification issues. I also believe, as a safeguard, to assure you that if in the event that I felt like I did not, want to disqualify myself, there is a procedure, and it's my understanding that all of the justices can have an input and they can make a vote on that issue if they disagreed or if something was different. So it wouldn't just be me making the decision whether I felt like I could be fair and impartial. It would be, I believe the whole body would be able to have a say in that ultimately.
And I'll ask for those in review and speak with you before.
Okay, that's fine.
One last question. Do you support and believe that we are under the 2003 Constitution as amended by the Cherokee people?
Yes, the 1999 Constitution.
Yes.
Yes, I do, certainly.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilman Keener.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I don't know what kind of questions you can answer. But I just wanted to make sure that after you are approved as justice, you will still keep working for the United States. Is that what I heard?
I have, and like what I was trying to explain to Councilor Calvin Watts, I have a few cases that have not ended. And what those cases are cases where the Indian Child Welfare Department for the United Patriot Band has removed children from their homes. Those cases have not been closed out necessarily. I am a guardian ad litem in one. My role basically is to report to the court on what I feel like is in the best interest of that, of the children or the children involved in that. I have one or two others where the parent is working to get a child back into the home or work a treatment plan so a case can be closed out. If the council feels and is of the opinion that I need to withdraw from those 2 or 3 cases I have left pending, I certainly would do that. My only reservation would be, especially the case where I'm a guardian ad litem, I mean, I would hate for them to have to appoint another attorney to come in on a case that's very close to being dismissed. However, I would respect the council's request and do so. I certainly haven't taken any new cases since January 2012, and I won't be taking any new cases from this either.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further questions for the nominee, Councilor Fraley?
Ms. Jones, I have no doubt in your ability, and I don't want to second guess the Chief Baker's nomination. But considering the definition facing our government, particularly our immense caseload, the growth of our immense caseload, the immense growth in economic development for our government, and the current climate in Washington, D.C., which potentially seriously affects our poverty. I would like to see a justice nominee that's a little more experienced and seasoned Please don't take it personally.
No, I understand.
It's not meant that way. But that's my thinking, is why I probably won't.
And all I will say in response to that is, I mean, I have been an attorney for 17 years. I have practiced in different areas, and I think that in looking at the previous justices that have been on the court and the ones that are on the court now, I think that the thing about it is everyone brings a different perspective, and you have some that have judicial experience, some that do not. And I think that if you had a tribunal composed of all previous and prior judges, I don't know that that's the best group. I think it's important to have a wide variety of perspectives, and that's what makes the judicial system, and especially when you have a court comprised of 5 people, work effectively. But I understand your concern, and I appreciate you letting me know that.
Any further questions for the nominee? Well, Ms. Jones, if you're confirmed with this court, you won't be the least experienced justice on the court. I think 17 years is a pretty good seasoning for an attorney. So you have my support. Any further questions for the nominee? All right, we'll call the question. This is we'll go for a roll call vote.
If I sit down,
Yeah.
do I say or sit?
Janelle Fulbright? Yes. Don Garvin?
Yes.
Frankie Hargis?
Yes.
Chuck Hoskin Jr.?
Yes.
China Gloria Jordan?
Yes.
Lee Keener?
Yes.
Dick Lay?
Yes.
Curtis Snell?
Yes.
David Thornton?
Yes.
David Walkingstick?
Yes.
Kara Cowan Watts?
Yes.
Bill England?
Yes.
Jack Baker?
Yes.
Joe Byrd?
Yes.
Julia Coates?
Yes.
Jody Fishinghawk?
Yes.
Meredith Fraley?
No.
16 yes and 1 no.
The ayes have it. Congratulations, Ms. Jones. All right. Madam Speaker?
Yes.
It is 3:30. Our agenda is long. Do you? I would recommend we go into recess. Would you make that motion?
Yes, we had talked about this previously because it was such a long agenda item today that we possibly would need to recess and take the rest of the agenda items up at another time that the chairperson is selected. And I'll put that in the form of a motion.
I'd say we'll meet Monday at
Second with a friendly amendment.
10:30. Yes, Counselor.
That it has to be a time when everybody is available.
Yes.
Okay, well, Monday before we're all to meet is Monday morning before to meet, and for the rest of the meetings was my preference. Yes. No, I mean the Monday, of the day we have council. Right.
Let me just put that in the form of a motion that we recess to the Monday of the council meeting in December, and we take up the rest of these items at 10:30.
Second.
Very good. All right. Motion is second. Any discussion on the motion?
I'll accept that.
All right, it's accepted. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right, we stand in recess.